Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here. Welcome back to Tesla Daily. Thanks for the patience over the last day. Wrapped up with that conference and excited to cover a lot of news here over the last couple of days, especially today. So looking at the stock quick to start off, we've got down 3.9% on the day today, closing at $186.92. NASDAQ down about 1.5%. So again, a little bit of an underperformance relative to Tesla's beta yet again today. I want to start off here with just a couple of macro news items from yesterday. Of course, we had the producer price index. We're not going to spend as much time as usual on this since we've got a lot to get through here. But the producer price index, like the CPI or consumer price index, did come in below expectations, also by about 30 basis points or 0.3%. So it came in at 8% year over year, the headline number. Also importantly, well, you can see the nice little curve here that starts to show a pretty consistent downtrend for the PPI numbers. If we look at the core month over month change, we're seeing the same thing. So that actually came in flat, so no increase month over month. Again, versus that forecast, about 0.3% higher. And same thing here, although it's a little bit less smooth of a curve when we look month over month. The last 5 months in a row now, we have seen month over month declines. So some really nice trends there for the producer price index, and of course the implications that has for interest rate increases. All right, the other thing that kind of happened in the macro yesterday, of course, the missile that unfortunately did hit Poland, some uncertainty on where that missile was coming from. Obviously, some concerns that maybe that was coming from Russia. Poland and NATO have both said that that wasn't a Russian attack, more likely a missile from Ukraine that ended up in the wrong place. So that's kind of, a major factor from yesterday that I just wanted to kind of point out. A lot of uncertainty in the market yesterday as that news was coming out. For today, the biggest news seems to be coming from the ongoing Elon Musk court case about his compensation package. We've talked a little bit about this over the last, year or so, that this has been something that's been on the horizon. Haven't talked as much about it recently. Honestly, it's not something that I view as a major risk. This is a lawsuit brought by a shareholder that has 9 shares of Tesla. I'm not even sure how that is allowed, but apparently it is. And now Elon has to sit in court and defend that compensation package, which obviously was 100% at risk. If pretty significant market cap milestones were not achieved, Elon Musk would have made no money. And of course, shareholders voted for it. So I don't see how this is even not a cut and dry case. Maybe this person should be suing all of the shareholders that approved this instead of Elon. And, it doesn't really make any sense to me. Anyway, with that as an aside, we are getting some news out of the court case. Elon Musk, or rather James Murdoch, one of Tesla's board members, was asked in court today if Elon Musk had a succession plan for CEO. And he said that in recent months, Elon had identified a potential successor who could serve as CEO of Tesla. So that was different than originally Murdoch's deposition. He had said that since that deposition and this court case today, that answer had changed. So this has been brought up in the past. As recently as the shareholder meeting, Elon, I believe by Gary Black, was asked about a possible succession plan, and he answered that by saying that I intend to stay with Tesla as long as I can be useful. He said that he has no plans to leave Tesla. I'm not leaving, to be clear. I'm very excited about the future of the company. I think it's got a very bright future, even without me. But again, not leaving, to be clear. So this was back in August. We're not that much further on from that at this point in time. But it sounds like there have been conversations about a possible successor. Just some other context here provided by the Chancery Daily, who follows these court cases very closely. Of course, we don't get all the context there from the Wall Street Journal, but Elon Musk never said to you that he might imminently be leaving Tesla, correct? Was one of the questions that Murdoch was asked. He said no. And has Mr. Musk ever suggested to anybody else that he is imminently going to quit? Murdoch said no. So my view on this, and again, that's all the information we have. My view on this would be that this is a very normal thing for a business to be undertaking. Most companies have CEO succession plans in place. It's probably, frankly, quite overdue for someone to be sort of, in mind if a CEO succession were to be needed. Obviously, something could happen to Elon Musk at any time for any reason. It would be good to be prepared in the event that something like that did happen, even if Elon has no plans of changing his role at Tesla at all. So obviously there's going to be the question of, does this mean Elon is trying to step down into more of that product architect role that he has mentioned before? That's really not the sense that I've gotten from Elon. I would say 2 or 3 years ago, he seemed to be kind of moving and pushing in that direction. But the last couple of years, really a lot of that conversation hasn't seemed as much in that direction to me. So I think this is, just probably normal business practice. Who this person is, I won't speculate on, but I think probably the most common choices or common expectations would probably be Drew or Zach. Those would kind of be the first, people to come to mind for most people, I think. So we have no information on that from this, but again, my view on it, probably just normal business planning and not something that I'm viewing as any indication that Elon is looking to change his role at Tesla, because again, we haven't really seen any indications of that, other than perhaps if you want to suggest Twitter as one of the indications of that, maybe. Personally, I don't view it that way. The other thing that we did hear in court today, Elon did say that he does expect that over time, his role at Twitter will reduce, or his time rather at Twitter will be reduced, and he would find somebody else to run Twitter again over time. He added that the fundamental restructuring of the organization should be completed soon. So, we've heard Elon kind of express uncertainty about who might run Twitter at some point, and obviously now he is acting as CEO. But most recent update on this is that over time he does intend to, appoint someone else into that role. So hopefully that, reduces some of the, concern that maybe people have as this pops up. Although with Elon's recent activity, we didn't even really see much of an impact on the stock today when this news did come out. I think, maybe this is it. I'm not even really sure. But, inconsequential with this report on succession planning. So I guess that's good. Kind of eliminates some of that key man risk. Personally, I hope Elon stays in that role for as long as he feels useful, which is, his most recent communication on that topic. The other thing that we did hear, this was yesterday, but the other thing that came out in the court case, this was from Robin Denholm, Tesla's chair. Tesla might be producing 100 semi-truck trailers this year, semi-trailer trucks this year, according to Robin. So, we don't know what production is going to be. Tesla did on Twitter also announce the delivery event. So like we had expected, December 1st, but they will have an event like Martin Vieca had alluded to before. Remember, retail shareholders might have an opportunity to get there, to get an invite to that event if you are a verified shareholder on Tesla.com. So go ahead and complete that process if you are interested in going. That'll be on December 1st and at Giga Nevada. But on the production, exciting to see that Tesla might, produce 100 of these things this year. Obviously, it is still relatively low volume production, still at Giga Nevada, but over the next month or 6 weeks until we end the year, that would be, I think, much higher than what most people would expect given that context. So exciting to see a number on that, but again, just a projection and maybe not, all that certain. So, but anyway, excited for this event, and hopefully we'll get to hear from Tesla more on the specs, because they are holding an event. Presumably they'll, be kind of showing it off and talking a little bit more about it, rather than just kind of handing it off to Pepsi and letting them run with it. So that should be good. Next, we've got an update here from Jordan Giesecke of The Limiting Factor. Definitely recommend going over and checking out his channel. He's been doing awesome work on battery breakdowns. He just got back information on the 4680 cell that came from the vehicle that Monroe tore down. So they've been doing some testing on this, I believe with UC somewhere in California, one of those universities out here, and finally got back some of the results on that. So they found that the energy density for the 4680 cell is 244 watt hours per kilogram. This is lower than the 2170s, which from Panasonic come in about 269 watt hours per kilogram. But there is a caveat here. One of the things that is driving the energy density down is the thickness of the canister that's holding the cell materials. That is thicker because it's providing structural benefits to the vehicle. So that's dropping the efficiency by about 24 watt hours per kilogram. So if you factor that out, then the adjusted energy density, as Jordan puts it here, is pretty much on par at 268 watt hours per kilogram. So, you want to be aware of both of these numbers, because if it were truly comparable energy density, then you'd be getting the benefit of the structural element. Right now, it's kind of a lower energy density cell that washes out the benefit of the structural pack. Still, over time, this is a good starting point. As we have heard Tesla talk about, they're pretty much like they give themselves about a C grade on where they're at right now with the 4680s and the structural pack process. kind of just the first iteration. Over time, they should be able to reduce what they're requiring, what their need for additional weight is for that structural elements. And they'll, of course, keep improving the energy density of the cell to get that hopefully more on par or even above where the 2170s are sitting today, in which case we start to see some of the benefits that Tesla talked about at Battery Day. So with this, we know that the usable energy density in the 4680 vehicle that we have seen so far, that standard range version out of Texas, which it seems like Tesla has kind of halted. There's been the ongoing question of whether or not that is software limited. Seems pretty clear that that is not the case at this point. Looks like there's about 67.5 usable kilowatt hours of energy, which correlates precisely with the range that it's getting, or what you would expect it to get with that amount of capacity. So not anything software locked there, most likely, which kind of the direction we've been leaning for a while. So that's what we know about the 4680s. Again, thanks to Jordan for doing this. Definitely check out the rest of this video too, because I think it gives a lot of helpful context. The link for that is in the description. Next here, we've got an update from Elon on FSD Beta version 11. So Tesla owner Silicon Valley asking if that might roll out before Thanksgiving, which of course would be next Thursday. Elon saying that will widen version 11 beta before then. So that gives us about a week, 8 days until hopefully we see a bit more of an expansion, hopefully to non-employees at that point. That would usually be what Elon would be implying with that. Next here, we've got an update from Not a Tesla app. They have found some details here. I believe this is just kind of a public email, or an email that became public, posted on Reddit. This is just an update on the safety score. So it looks like Tesla is changing the algorithm for the safety score. I'm sure that these are probably just relatively small changes as Tesla has continued to accumulate data, just refining that safety score to make it even better. Of course, this is going to be less relevant for FSD Beta now that Tesla has started to expand that pretty significantly, where the safety score threshold isn't quite as important, but of course, very, very important still for Tesla insurance and the rates that those customers pay in relation to their safety scores. Next here, we've got a couple of updates on Tesla in China. So first one, Tesla has updated the wait times for all vehicles, or all of the Model 3 and Model Y rather, to 1 to 5 weeks. Previously, they had all been 4 to 8 weeks, except for the standard range Model Y that was 1 to 4. That's now updated to 1 to 5 as well. So most of them going from 4 to 8 down to 1 to 5, and the Model Y, increasing slightly, if you want to say it that, the standard range to 1 to 5 weeks. So probably not unexpected as we move now pretty closely to the middle of the quarter, pretty much right in the middle of the quarter now, that Tesla's going to start to, even though they are talking about unwinding the wave, certainly some of that is still going to persist, and they're going to focus a little bit more on China deliveries. And of course, there's all the questions about China demand, which we'll get a better sense for now that's probably more of that prioritization to China starts to happen, which we are going to be seeing here. Just point out the Model 3 there, same thing, which we are going to be seeing here as Tesla continues to ramp up the China numbers. So we can see the insured vehicle numbers we just got the last week, continuing to rise. So about 14,000 in the week of November 7th to November 13th. So I'm pretty happy with that number. If we can continue to see Tesla keep increasing this, we talked about this before, should lead them to pretty easily a record quarter for China sales, again, contingent on this continuing. All right, next we've got another update on safety from Tesla. So this is the Model S this time. We talked previously about how the Model Y had received the best overall safety rating from the Euro NCAP safety testing. So we've got another update on that. The Model S has apparently surpassed that. Tesla here in the blog post noting that the Model S has received a 5-star safety rating and the highest overall score among any vehicle tested with the new testing protocol that the Euro NCAP has been using since 2020. So always exciting to see that. You can see the scores here, but directly from the Euro NCAP here. The Model S, the, of course, refreshed version, 94% score for adult occupants, 91% for child occupants, vulnerable road users, 85%, and safety assist, a 98% score, which of course is the highest like we had talked about before, even though this is just using Tesla Vision. So that's the same safety assist score that the Model Y received as well. So always exciting to see that, but hopefully no surprise for Tesla hitting numbers like this on those scores at this point. Next, just a quick headline only update. Tesla has received a lower price target from Bank of America. They have lowered it from $325 previously to $275 now. I haven't seen the note on that, so I can't provide any additional context, but given the current market and Tesla's share price, that just kind of tends to be the trend that we see from analysts at this point in time. Next, just another quick one. Charlie Munger was interviewed by Becky Quick at CNBC and just kind of asked about Elon and Tesla. She asked about the supposed quote that Elon has mentioned of Charlie Munger in 2009, I believe, telling Elon all the reasons that Tesla would fail. Elon saying, yep, I agree with all those, but it's worth doing anyway. So they were talking about that, and Charlie said he didn't remember that, but he said he's a fan of what Tesla has done, and they've achieved kind of a minor miracle pulling off what they have done, and Elon has contributed a lot to that. So, it's had some complimentary words to say, and of course that always brings in speculation about Berkshire Hathaway and what that might mean for Tesla. Probably nothing is the answer to that question. Next year, a couple of interesting updates on Twitter. So George Hotz, we had talked previously about how he's the founder of Comma AI. He had posted a blog post recently about taking some steps back from that, feeling like the company was probably better under different leadership for the time being. So he's out here on Twitter talking about an email that Elon sent to Twitter staff. So we'll read this email quick and then continue with that. But Elon said, subject to fork in the road here. Going forward, to build a breakthrough Twitter 2.0 and succeed in an increasingly competitive world, we will need to be extremely hardcore. This will mean working long hours at high intensity. Only exceptional performance will constitute a passing grade. Twitter will also be much more engineering driven. Design and product management will still be very important and report to me, but those writing great code will constitute the majority of our team and have the greatest sway. At its heart, Twitter is a software and service company, so I think this makes sense. If you are sure that you want to be a part of new Twitter, please click yes on the link below. Anyone who has not done so by 5 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow will receive 3 months of severance. Whatever decision you make, thank you for your efforts to make Twitter successful, Elon. So probably no surprise to those of us that have followed Elon for a long time, but he's setting the expectation for what Twitter should be and needs to be right now in his view, and employees can get on board with that or they can leave. So George Hotz just saying that this is the attitude that builds incredible things. Let all the people who don't desire greatness leave. This is the company culture that Elon wants. This is the company culture that Elon has succeeded with, and that's what he's going to try to turn Twitter into, which has been very clear from his actions so far. So anyway, George Hotz saying that he would be down for a 12-week internship at Twitter for just the cost of living in San Francisco, and Elon saying, sure, let's talk. So many of you may remember that Elon had once recruited George to be the head of Autopilot, I believe the head of Autopilot many years ago. He had turned it down, and it looks like now they'll, in sort of the weirdest timeline here, reconnect at Twitter. So it'll be interesting to see, what comes of that, if anything. Another thing on Twitter here, Janet Yellen, Secretary of Treasury, said that she doesn't see any basis to investigate Musk's Twitter takeover. So, there'd been some conversations about that since Biden commenting on it. And then we do have a couple of final stories here outside of Tesla. First here on Redwood Materials, of course, JB Straubel's new company, not so new at this point, but they have inked an exciting deal with Panasonic, who they work with a little bit already. But they have reached a deal with Panasonic to supply billions of dollars of cathode material produced from Redwood Materials in the United States. And this will supply Panasonic's new plant in Kansas City that we have talked about, with mass production beginning there in 2025. And of course, that would likely be supplying Tesla. So we get a little bit full circle here from JB. Panasonic has been a partner for many years, but this is very significant, said JB. This is a large portion of their cathode supply. It's such an impactful announcement for the US supply chain in general, and of course for us as a company. Didn't say exactly how much material this would be, but again, billions of dollars over several years. So super exciting for Redwood Materials, super exciting for JB, and hopefully some of those cathodes end up back in Tesla vehicles. All right, lastly here, just an update on Lucid. I guess a couple of updates on Lucid. They, yesterday, as we talked about, had an upcoming announcement. It turned out to be a couple of announcements. So the first was that the Air Touring and the Air Pure, which are different trims of the Lucid Air, are now available, sort of with a little bit of contingency. So the Touring is available, and then the Pure all-wheel drive is arriving this year. but the rear wheel drive, which is the lower $87,400 price point, one that kind of gets mentioned a lot, that is coming later. We don't necessarily have coming in 2023. So we don't know when in 2023. But again, this would be kind of what that trim would look like, $87,400, and just says like later availability in the design studio right now. So it's exciting for Lucid, at least for Lucid customers. Probably less exciting for them as a business, because that means that they're already struggling with margins. These are going to be lower margin vehicles, so they're going to have to get production up. They're going to have to get costs down to make these vehicles at all, sustainable. Obviously, they look pretty competitive right now when we compare them to Tesla, but from a margin and cost basis perspective, still no competition. Lucid's going to have to, prove that they can produce these and sell them for, at least a little bit of money. Otherwise, it's not going to be a sustainable business. The other announcement that Lucid made was that their electric SUV, the Lucid Gravity, is opening up for reservations in early 2023. No timeline necessarily, or no specific date yet. And then they do say that they do expect the vehicle to start production in 2024. They say land in 2024, which maybe that's production, maybe that's deliveries, but kind of a little play on the Gravity name there. So here are a couple of pictures of that, which we had not previously seen. So I think looks interesting, and it's a little bit hard to tell from the photos that they have given us so far, but we'll see. First, Lucid's got to make it to that point, so we'll see how they do. All right, that'll wrap it up for today then. As always, thank you for listening. Make sure you are subscribed and signed up for notifications. You can also find me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday, November 17th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.